2025 is almost over, and I wanted to do a kind of definitive ranking of almost every game I played this year, with the exception of a few demos that I played that I'm going to cover in another video. We have everything from Hello Kitty Island Adventures to Devour, the horror game, so let's get into it. Starting with the tiers, we have favorites, which is pretty self-explanatory. Under that, we have would replay or keep replaying, meaning it was good enough that I would replay it, or if it's an ongoing game, I would continue to play it. Under that, we have average, which is so-so. I could go either way. Just kind of like an enjoyable, but maybe like 6 or 7 out of 10 game. And then I have no under that, which is also pretty self-explanatory. It just wasn't for me. I wouldn't replay it, wouldn't recommend it, that type of thing. And finally, we have a didn't play enough, where I kind of had an opinion on the game, but I probably also didn't play it enough. And this is a category that I really want your opinion on, because if I put a game and didn't play enough, I can be easily persuaded to give it another chance. I just didn't feel like totally putting more time into it at whatever time I played the game. Starting it off, let's get this one over with. We are obviously going to put Expedition 33 into favorites. I'm not going to talk about this game too much because it's won a ton of awards, and I think some of you are probably tired of hearing about it, but fantastic game, loved it, possibly one of my favorite games of all time. The Ranch of Rivershine is one that I actually didn't play enough. I was really looking forward to this one because I know there's like not a lot of horse games out there. People do like it. I just personally didn't like that it only has keyboard and mouse controls, because it's like the perfect game, I think, to play portably with a controller. So until that's added, or until there's like a good community layout for that game, I'm probably not going to revisit it. Grow, Song of the Evertree was a kind of like cozy town management, town building game. It also had like cleanup elements in it. It was really cute, colorful. My favorite part of the game was actually the town management / town building aspect, but unfortunately that was kind of like locked behind this really kind of tedious cleanup mechanic, and I didn't really have a lot of opinions on it after that, but I think like a lot of the good gameplay that I enjoyed was personally locked behind too tedious of a mechanic. Traveler's Rest. This one was tough for me. I'm torn between putting this in between didn't play enough and no, because I recognize that I didn't play enough of it, but it didn't have a lot of elements of games that I like in it. There's a certain type of management game I like. I prefer to be in control of everything. So the gameplay loop of having to like serve people and kind of like wait for them to order, stuff like that. I don't enjoy a lot of downtime in a game. For like farming games and life sims, I'm always doing something. So like, for example, Stardew, like always planting crops, going here next, going to do this next. I'm never just kind of like waiting around. In Traveler's Rest, like having to prepare like food and drink and then just waiting for people to order it. I just don't like that type of downtime in a game. I played a Skyrim for the 3rd time, but this time I played it on Steam. Played it originally on the PS3, put around 150 hours into it, never got past maybe like 1 or 2 main quests because I got so wrapped up in side quests. I wanted to finish the actual story for once. Skyrim is kind of a classic for me. It was one of my first open world games actually, and it was probably my first RPG game. Loved it, especially loved the fantasy setting. I think it's a great game. I wish they would stop remaking it and move on to another game, but I'm going to put it in would replay or keep playing. Party Animals is a game that I play with friends on like game nights. I think it's fun because you can also play against your friends, so you can set up a custom game and like divide it. I think it's just like a fun game night game where you can get a lot of friends online who you can't really play in person with. Little Friends Puppy Island is essentially modern Nintendogs. It was fun. It was kind of like one of the games I played when I was really obsessed with achievements. It's super cute, kind of short, but not a lot of gameplay like out of that. I'm probably gonna put it into average. I had fun with it. I probably wouldn't replay it because I think it's short. The story itself is short, but I enjoyed getting all the Steam achievements for it. Persona 3 Reload is one that I made a video on. It was my first YouTube video ever, talking about kind of perfectionism in the Persona game specifically, kind of touching on completionism in general. This is a game that I definitely optimize the fun out of for a couple of different reasons. Mostly, again, my completionist mind. I would probably replay this one because I think it's great. I just, unfortunately, when I was playing it, I used a guide and I followed that probably way too closely, and I couldn't enjoy the game for what it was. Slime Rancher is a game that I have to be honest, I didn't really get, but I also didn't play enough of it. I just kind of felt it was kind of like, it's one that I could be persuaded to give another chance if somebody would like describe the goal of the game or kind of like what they enjoyed about the game. But I just at the time didn't really necessarily want to put more time into it. Little Known Galaxy was one that I did like, but I found it to be a little bit bare bones in the type of gameplay mechanics I enjoy from games like this. So that would be kind of like social aspects, maybe a clear storyline or goal to work toward. I guess maybe like too open-ended, I don't know, but I did like it. It just didn't have longevity for me personally, but I also probably didn't play it enough. I wouldn't just put it straight into no because I think there's elements that I did like about it. REPO is a great multiplayer friend game that came out this year and kind of blew up. I think it does have a lot of replayability even though there aren't a lot of maps, and they continue to do great updates like adding new monsters. Honestly, it's like it kind of goes with party animals. Like it's just a great game to play with friends. Coffee Caravan was a short, quick game that I played. It was also a game that I played to just kind of get all the Steam achievements for. I enjoyed it. I would say it's probably an average game that you can look at if it's on sale. I wouldn't replay it, but I don't think it's a bad game, so I'm going to put it in average. Everdream Valley is one that I really, really wanted to like. It had on paper almost every element I love in cozy farming life sim games, but in execution it just did not click with me, so I will put it into no. Whimside is a creature collector idle game, and it was super cute. Runs on the bottom of your screen like a lot of idle games. There's like egg catching, collecting, stuff like that. Great desktop companion if you're like focusing on something else but want like a game that you could play kind of idly. I think this one probably would go into average because there is one idle game on here that I actually love. It's right here, Tiny Pasture, which would go into would replay or keep playing because Tiny Pasture I think was my probably almost favorite idle game this year. The animals are just so cute. There's a lot of like management aspects, but you can also play pretty much idly and things will still function. I don't know, it's just like adorable, and that one is probably one of my favorite idle games this year. Twinkleby was a game that also came out this year. Very cozy, relaxing, decorating game, super laid back. Like, it didn't have a lot of guidance on like what to do. It's just kind of like a semi-sandbox game with a lot of like decorating focus. There is progression, but it's not like a huge focus. So there is some downtime. So for me personally, I'm going to put it into average. I'll do inZOI before I forget. This is one I think a lot of us had extremely high hopes for if you were a fan of life sims or the Sims games in general. It's not a bad game. I think people had super high expectations for it. They expected a lot from it. And I think one of the main things that inZOI kind of like missed that the Sims had was just kind of like that whimsical, fun, unique vibe in terms of like family dynamics and storytelling and maybe even random events. I don't even know how to describe it. That's it, like special sauce that the Sims just has. Like, and I know they're obviously still working on it. inZOI is an early access game. I enjoyed it. I think that it needs just a little bit more like heart and soul. Yeah, I just think it needs some kind of like unique like personality. But I will put it in would replay or keep playing. Chill Pulse is another idle game, kind of like a study buddy desktop companion. This was one I also just wanted to get the Steam achievements for. And I know this is a personal problem of mine that I've been trying to work on and I don't want to talk about it, and I don't know if I would continue to use it as a studying focused companion just because I feel like I'm pretty good at not having to have a type of time management platform, so I'm gonna put it into average. This one is one I got a lot of flack on when I posted it on TikTok originally, and that's Fantasy Life, The Girl Who Steals Time. I was so excited for this one, and maybe I was too excited because I fell into a lot of that, not FOMO, but excitement that everybody had because they were so excited because it was a remake and everybody loved the original Fantasy Life game. So maybe I kind of was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be fantastic. There are so many different jobs I can do. I can do like logging, I can do crafting, I can do all these, and there's going to be like a quest line for all of it. But in reality, it just felt bare bones. Like the map felt bare bones, the storyline didn't feel bare bones, sorry. The storyline was actually probably like one of the main drivers that kept me playing for as long as I did. But everything outside of that, so like side content, exploration, dungeons, the jobs themselves, it all felt very surface level and also grindy at the same time. It's very repetitive, wasn't for me, and I know my opinion is probably not the popular opinion, but I have to put this into no just because this is my list and how I felt about these games personally. Go Go Town is one I don't think I will stop recommending unless something completely changes the gameplay on it. I think this one is super underrated. I loved this game, and I actually have like a niche comparison to this game. If anybody played Metropolis Mania back in the PS2 days, it was kind of this really obscure town building game on the PlayStation 2. I think it was originally Japanese and some of the translations were a little bit off even. I loved that game. I played so much of it when I was younger, and almost nobody I've talked to even recognizes that game. But Go Go Town gave me that Metropolis Mania vibe, just in terms of like how you're kind of a town manager. You have to make sure people have certain types of buildings, like they have to have housing nearby, but they also have to have a place to work, farm, or like a logging area, mining area. It just kind of reminded me of that. And there's also like decor elements and progression, and I just like really liked it. I think it might be kind of like a niche recommendation, and I don't know like what people expect necessarily when they go into this game, so I don't even know how to recommend it. I'm gonna put it into favorites for now and then see where we're at the end. Split Fiction is a 2-player game for the makers of It Takes Two, also a fantastic co-op game from somebody who enjoys like fiction in general and reading in general. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. It gave like a good challenge. None of it was like too hard, and it wasn't like too easy either, especially if you have a friend who maybe doesn't play video games as much. I think like the challenge is a good level. I think it was just a really beautiful game that I would either replay or put into favorites. I'm going to throw it into favorites. Bear and Breakfast is a cozy like management game where you have to manage a couple of different inns and you're a bear. It has your basics like resource gathering, talking to NPCs. I do remember the writing in this actually being really like kind of witty and fun, and I did enjoy that. However, what made me stop playing this game was the cooking mechanic, which just frustrated the heck out of me. I would have continued with the game if not for that. You continue through and open like additional inns in different areas, and each one has different requirements, and this one had requirements with the cooking mechanic, and I just did not like the cooking mechanic, especially on a controller, so I'm going to put Bear and Breakfast into average. I continued playing Coral Island this year, and it is definitely one of my favorite life sim games. I fell in love with this game when it came out. I think I probably have over 100 hours, definitely. I don't know if I would say over 200 hours. The storyline is great, the mechanics are great, the graphics are great, the romance options are fantastic. They're pretty well developed. There's just a lot to this game, and I actually want to revisit it because they continue to do free updates. So I'm going to put it into favorites. I definitely recommend this one if you like any type of farming or life sim. I think it's just a really great game. Kynseed was a game that is also kind of farming life sim, but it has more of a fantasy vibe, but also like a more small town type of vibe. It's pretty unique, and it's not one I see get recommended a lot, but I think it is pretty good. I would almost put it into would replay or keep replaying. The writing in this one is also really funny and unique. The only negative I would say with this game is that it kind of lacks direction. Kind of a game where you kind of have to figure things out for yourself in terms of like progression and where to go next. I think I'm going to put it into would replay or keep replaying because this game has a lot of great elements into it. I just almost think I would have to restart it and kind of look into a guide or how to advance in the game. Oh, Luma Island. I totally forgot about this one. This is also a really great, underrated game. If you like farming games or like resource gathering and crafting games, this one is great. I really wish more people would know about it. There's like puzzles to complete, different jobs. I ironically, when I was playing Fantasy Life, because I think I played Luma Island after Fantasy Life, and I couldn't help but think Luma Island was actually a better version of Fantasy Life's job system, because you can sign up for different jobs, but you have to level them up and then get progressively harder and harder. You unlock completely new areas with completely new resources to further like upgrade those jobs and help restore the town. But it also doesn't have the story that Fantasy Life did. I would say it's more open-ended, go at your own pace, make yourself choose what direction you're going to take in the game. Baba's Cozy Laundromat is another idle game I played, and this one was not for me. I don't know if they've updated it. It was kind of bare bones when I first played it, and I think it is actually, ironically, too idle for an idle game. It's almost like having a screensaver, kind of like when I played it. I was just kind of looking for something that had more interaction available if you did want interaction from an idle game. Meaning if there is stuff that I could click on, interact, speed up, manage when I wanted to. It doesn't have to be crazy because it is an idle game. But there was like almost nothing really to interact with in that game, so it's gonna be a no. Bearded on the Island was a game that sounded a lot better on paper, so you can build a farm, craft, hook, gather resources, and then also build shops and like a museum. And your main goal is to attract visitors to the island and make it kind of like a bigger tourist destination. But it just felt a little bare bones and open-ended. There's really no guide. I think it just lacked like longevity or any sort of like motivating factor to keep playing. I guess I think it's okay, but I don't know if I would ever pick it up again. So I would almost have to say probably no. Fae Farm is a game I played a lot of while I was playing it, and then I dropped it. The gameplay loop became a little bit tedious for me. This game is pretty heavily like mining / dungeon focused, more on the like mining aspect, and it gets progressively harder because you unlock new mines that are more challenging. For example, like there's a volcano mine area, and it's so hot that you have to craft like a specific like cooling down potion so you can even go in there. And it just gets kind of tedious because you need so many resources out of each specific mine that you're making these potions multiple times. And there's not like a whole lot of depth to it, but I did enjoy what I played of it. I would probably continue playing it to complete it at some point, to be honest, so I'm going to put it into the second category. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma is a game that I'm still playing, but I am towards the end of. I thought it was a fantastic step in the right direction for the Rune Factory series, especially after not liking, I think, 5, the most recent one that came out. It really became kind of like story focused, but story focused in a way that still gave you like a bunch to do. So there's combat, like dungeons, there's puzzles, there's different abilities, there's different weapons, there's a bunch of different romance options, almost fully voice acted. There's side quests, there's a town management building aspect. You can kind of assign them jobs so they can farm for you or they could run the shops for you. And there's just like a lot to this game, but I'm getting to a point in it where I'm almost wondering if there's just a little bit too much to this game, because I think there's a point kind of like 30-ish hours in where you think it might be wrapping up, and then it just completely opens the door for, I would say, almost like 60% of the rest of the game. This could be my own personal problem, but I'm almost getting a little bit of fatigue for it. But it is a great game and I'm going to keep replaying it, and I would recommend it. Bookbound was a bookshop simulation game. I was super excited for it because, again, like I love reading, I love books. My expectations were possibly too high. I did not really enjoy this one. I didn't find it super fun. It felt a little bare bones. I think there have been updates since it originally came out, but I would put it into the no category. Monster Hunter Wilds was probably one of my most anticipated games of this year. I pre-ordered the deluxe edition. I've put probably 300 or 400 hours into previous Monster Hunter titles. I played it on release, and that was maybe a mistake, but I've also tried to go back to it multiple times since then, and I still can't find like a whole lot of enjoyment out of it. But it kind of just condenses down into performance issues, the game hand-holding you slash giving you almost like the Pokemon treatment of making it too easy. Like the bird mount system just kind of discourages exploration in general, in my opinion. Collecting isn't as fun, exploring isn't as fun, and they did change some of the weapons, and I think it's like a constant updating thing, but for some reason I just cannot get into even the gameplay. Really mixed feelings on this one. Probably my least favorite Monster Hunter game, and I've only spent probably like 10 hours into it as opposed to the hundreds I put into the other ones. I almost want to put it into no, but they do have a history of continuously improving their games and possibly fixing the issues that I had with it. So maybe I'll put it into average because I do think that they are at least continuously trying to improve it. Ropuka's Idle Island is another idle game. I think this was my first idle game I ever played, and I just fell in love with it. I thought this concept was so cute. You can upgrade him, you upgrade his tools, decorate his little island. I just can't really explain the charm this kind of game has. If you're just looking for something to keep you company while you're like scrolling or studying, I really like this game, and I think it's just a really cute, fun game. And I would probably put it into keep playing. Tales of the Shire is a game I made a video on because originally when it came out, I think everybody was kind of like on the same page in terms of what the heck is this? It did meet expectations, and honestly, kind of rightfully so, the way that it was marketed. I recently made a video on it because I didn't play it when it originally came out, but I've noticed the reviews have kind of swayed into being pretty positive now, and I wanted to see exactly like if it was a good game. I just didn't think it was a well-made game, and I went into like this in detail in my video. It's missing like even just basic gameplay features, in my opinion, that people expect from a game like this. Like there's pathing issues, you can't even jump in the game, there's no voice acting, which makes the game feel really empty. I don't even know if there's like a lot of background or ambient noises I didn't really see, and it's honestly mostly a cooking game. So cooking is a huge aspect of the game, and if you like putting together recipes and collecting like resources for those recipes, I think you'll have a great time with it. But for those people who expected it to be more of a life sim game with a lot of gameplay features, it just wasn't there, and I did not enjoy it. I think I even refunded it, and I'm going to put it into no. I tried playing the first Hades game again, and while I love the story and the artwork, I don't know if roguelike games are for me necessarily unless they're like very forgiving. My gameplay style is I don't like to dodge, I don't like to parry, I just kind of like to just go in and just start swinging like full damage. If I take a hit, that's fine, I don't even care as long as I don't have enough health. So the roguelike games where even a little mistake can cost you an entire run, I would rather have storytelling elements. I enjoy great combat. Like I think Expedition 33 is combat's great, and I would probably keep playing it. I would struggle, but I would keep playing it. Critter Cafe was another one a lot of people were disappointed in. It just felt a little underdone. I think it was lacking a lot of features. So it wasn't for me, and I don't even have much to say about it, just because I didn't think that the game had a lot of gameplay to it. TCG Card Shop Simulator was one that I randomly got obsessed with because I think I saw people playing it on Twitch. It is super fun, like opening something and then seeing what's inside of it. You make money in the game like based on the type of cards that you get. There is something like really addicting about it, and I had a lot of fun with it. I think I probably put over 100 hours into it. Lakeside Bar is a management idle game that is kind of as idle as you want it to be, because it has the option for you to control your character and also help out around the bar. So you're managing a bar, you're making drinks, you're serving people, and you kind of like click for your character to move around and go do actions. So if you wanted to sit there and stare at the screen and constantly like micromanage your character to clean up stuff, to serve stuff, to take orders, you can. But you can also hire people, and then it becomes like a true idle game, pretty much, where you can hire people to take care of anything for you. It's a really good idle game that I would recommend. Paranormal Clean Up was a game that I also got for game night. I actually really like this one. I think it's kind of underrated because it has that horror multiplayer game concept where you're trying to, you know, obviously avoid the ghost while trying to figure out what the ghost is, banishing the ghost, or that type of gameplay. But it has this side gameplay where you have to clean up these haunted locations, you know, symbols on the walls. I think you're like cleaning up like roaches, old pizza boxes, trash, and like ectoplasm and stuff that is left around. So it's actually like a combination of two types of gameplay that I just really enjoy, which is like cleaning up things, but also the paranormal like fun friend aspect that a lot of like horror co-op games have. So I'd actually put this into would replay or keep playing. I tried Dune Awakening during the free weekend that they had. I thought it was fun. I think the crafting and survival elements are nice, and the world looks and the graphics are just obviously really well done. I think my problem with games like Dune Awakening, I also have Once Human on here, and what else? Oh, maybe even the first Descendant, or maybe even Enshrouded. I think my problem with these games is I get into it, I'm like, okay, cool, this will be great. Like I can put a ton of time into this. I can, you know, continue to like upgrade things and work on things and build things. And this is a game that'll have a lot of like gameplay for me, like a lot of longevity. But what happens is, even if the gameplay features in these types of games are really good, they lack that kind of like driving force I was talking about earlier that motivates you to continue playing them. Like they're almost a little too open-ended for me personally, of it being able to have missions, side missions, stuff for you to complete, stuff for you to focus on, jobs to level up, that type of stuff. Like that's the type of gameplay that keeps me playing. They're beautiful, like well-made games, but they don't have, in my opinion, a good background story or writing or characters. And like I said, that driving force that keeps me playing. I'm honestly going to put Dune Awakening, the first Descendant, and Once Human and Enshrouded into average. Some of these could definitely be bumped up to would replay or keep replaying, but for me, I think they could also all be condensed into being an average game for me, just because they lack that deep storytelling element. Kind of, this is how I also feel about Infinity Nikki. Even though it's an entirely different genre, it's still that kind of like free to play, open-ended type of game where there isn't a strong storyline or characters really. Maybe it doesn't necessarily feel meaningful, so I'm going to put Infinity Nikki up there also with those other open-ended and somewhat free-to-play games. Palia is also a free-to-play game. However, Palia, in my opinion, does story, characters, and questing a lot better than the other types of games I just talked about, because I think each character, each NPC has a really unique personality. They have a backstory. They have pretty unique dialogue, which is actually really surprises me. Something I really appreciate, because a lot of dialogue from NPCs in life sims or farming sims, kind of like you could talk to them once and then you can talk to them again. They kind of say the same thing that they just said. With Palia, I find very few times when you talk to the NPCs, they repeat themselves, and it makes them and the world feel just like more alive. And there's just like a ton of quests. There's a storyline, but there's also a ton of quests, and some of them are like fetch questy, but there's still kind of like detail added to what they're asking you to find and stuff like that. I'm going to put it into favorites because I think it has so much gameplay, and it's a free-to-play game that doesn't shove microtransactions in your face or anything like that. So yeah, I actually think I would probably put that into favorites. Devour is another game I primarily play with friends. As you could probably tell, the type of games that I do play with my friends tend to be like more of a horror, like thriller type of game. And this is because, like, I think it's super fun, especially if you have, like, a personality where, like, being scared is, like, really fun. Like, you have a lot of friends who maybe get scared easily, or they give you those fun, like, reactions, like, oh, like, I think that's super fun, and I really love that. And they continue to add updates to Devour. It is kind of a challenging game at times, but I think that's kind of a good thing because you can't necessarily, unless you get really lucky, play the map once and win it. You have to kind of play it multiple times, develop a strategy, and just like really think about what you're doing in the order you're doing it in. So I'm going to put it into keep playing. Tiny Bookshop kind of delivered everything that I was looking for from Bookbound and just kind of a like bookshop simulation game in general. I thought this game was absolutely fantastic. I do think a lot of games don't account for that downtime where you're just either like serving customers, or if like your shop is stocked, you kind of just have to like wait around for people to buy more stuff. But Tiny Bookshop has like side quests and different characters and stuff that you can kind of do idly, like behind the scenes. It also has this like really cool mechanic where people will come in and request a recommendation for a specific type of book. So you actually have to go through your books and kind of think about, okay, what are they looking for? What genre is it? And the recommendation system is actually like pretty good and pretty accurate. And another one of my favorite features of this game is that it actually takes like legitimate titles, even like relatively new and popular titles. Like I think even like a Court of Thorns and Roses is in there. Just like even like popular mainstream books. It just kind of added like a level of immersion and that fun feeling of like, oh, I read that book. Like I know that this person would like this book because they've actually read that one. It's actually just a really like well done and fun game. Dinkum is one I'm probably also going to get some mixed opinions on because I have tried to play this game I think like 3 separate times. I've tried to play it single player, I've tried to play it co-op, and I just can't like find a lot in it that makes me want to continue playing, which is I know kind of odd because it does have, you know, the regular things I do enjoy like resource gathering, crafting, and building, but I think it goes back to that lack of a clear quest-based system or like characters that have more depth. Maybe there's something to say for discovering things like this yourself, for sure. I just didn't find enough of a reason to want to find that stuff out for myself. I'm almost torn between putting this in like didn't play enough versus no, because it is a game that I really do want to like and enjoy because I think so many people do. I'm just going to put it into didn't play enough. The Home County is a newish game that is a farming and life sim type of game, but it takes place in kind of like this era that's inspired by Edwardian Britain. It's a really unique indie game that you could tell like a lot of love is being put into. I do think that I had some issues with it in terms of like how much gameplay there was into it. Again, fully recognizing that it's an indie game with a kind of a big concept, honestly, but there are different things that you could do to make money. Like there's even like this painting, there's a museum you can complete, again, resource gathering. You gradually kind of like hire people to do certain tasks for you. In terms of like gameplay that I personally enjoy out of like farming and life sims, I don't think there was romance when I played it, but I think they're working on adding it. But for now, I'm going to put it into average. Digimon Time Stranger was a super pleasant surprise. I'd never really like fully played one through. I didn't even watch like the anime when I was younger. I've always been kind of like a diehard Pokemon fan. I've recently been pretty disappointed in Nintendo lately as a company, especially the new Pokemon game, which I didn't play, but I watched a ton of footage about, ton of reviews about. So I actually played Digimon Time Stranger, which actually came out a little bit before the new Pokemon game did. And I think it's just a really well made creature collecting game that, in my opinion, and even though I've only like visually seen comparisons, I haven't necessarily played it myself, I've watched playthroughs, I think it is the better creature collector game that came out this year. It's almost fully voice acted, there's a great story, there's side quests, a bittersweet ending, great characters that you actually like really grow to care for. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was great. I would probably put it into would replay or keep it playing. I will do a Phasmophobia Phasmophobia and the Outlast trials kind of together because I think both of them are kind of like similar in replayability when you're playing with a friend. It's again that type of fun horror co-op type of game, and I will put both of them into would replay or keep replaying. I'm going to put Are We There Yet into average instead of would replay or keep playing because it's kind of like the type of game where I personally only like to play kind of a map once if there's no variety to it. I think if there were like more than one way to accomplish something in RV There Yet, or like a different route to take, I think that it would have more replayability and I would probably put it higher. But because like once you complete something and once you know how to complete something to progress, it's kind of like the same gameplay. So if you had new friends, you still kind of like know how to complete and get to the end. So for me, it doesn't have as much replayability as like the other type of co-op games that I've had in here, including Peak, which I think has a lot of replayability, even with the same friends and different friends. And I have enjoyed like all the co-op / multiplayer games that have been coming out recently. I think they're really fun. Marvel Rivals is a game that I think me and a lot of other people got completely obsessed with at one point. I think I probably have 300 to 400 hours into it, and I haven't played it in probably like 6 months. I loved this game when it first came out. Oh my gosh, I was like everything I wanted in a competitive game, especially after having put quite a few hours into Overwatch and Overwatch 2. Found it like all the characters and all the abilities and how they synergized and the team up abilities. I thought that was great and really unique, but the game kind of picked up those like negative aspects that for me Overwatch had over time, which is kind of like the toxicity, you can kind of only play in your main, otherwise you're going to be flamed for it. And then the hero balancing, I think it's just kind of like a problem that's only going to become worse as they add more and more heroes. Did really like it when I was playing it. And if I had like a group I was playing with or a friend that really wanted to play it, I would revisit it. So I'm going to put it into would replay or keep replaying. Where Winds Meet also kind of took the internet by storm. It is a free-to-play game that a lot of people were talking about, so I finally gave it a shot, and I was actually really pleasantly surprised with it. The difference between Where Winds Meet and the other like open-ended games that I mentioned earlier, kind of like Dune Awakening or maybe like the first Descendant, is that the story in Where Winds Meet is actually so well done, like so fantastically written. I was tearing up at the end of I think like Act 1, I think it is. It was just so well done, and I was really impressed with the story and the characters in that game. I'm definitely going to keep playing this one, and I think it deserves kind of like all the hype that it's been getting. Hello Kitty Island Adventure was a game I think I stopped playing it once I didn't really have much to unlock anymore, and I was kind of just grinding like friendship levels. There's nothing necessarily to work toward at this point besides like friendship levels, so I kind of like lost the motivation to continue playing that, but I would probably go in and revisit it just to see like what's kind of been going on or what's been changed. I tried playing Monster Hunter Stories because after being disappointed with Monster Hunter Wilds, I think I was kind of missing like that Monster Hunter game feeling, but I didn't want to go back and necessarily like revisit a full like multiplayer type of game. So I tried to play the first Monster Hunter Stories, and I found it to be just a little bit maybe too like simplistic slash, I don't want to say necessarily juvenile, but I do think it's like geared for a younger audience maybe, and traversing around the map is kind of like a little bit too empty and slow for me, so I did put it down. I don't see myself coming back to this one in particular, but I don't think it's bad, so I'm going to put it into average. And finally, one I don't even know how I almost forgot about, I had to add it just now last minute. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar was actually one of my favorite games this year. I spent a lot of time in this game. I really enjoyed it. It had like the perfect elements of what I wanted and looked for in a life farming sim, and it brought back that feeling of the original Harvest Moon Story of Season games that I really liked. It had a story, but it didn't necessarily have like a strong story, but it had a clear goal to work toward, and that is to like level up your bazaar. And then also has romance options, and the characters, they have cutscenes and little friendship events and heart events, and for me that also adds a lot to a game like that. So there you have it. Those are most of the games that I played in 2025, and I would love to know where we're alike, where we're different, where you possibly disagree. And if you loved any of the games and didn't play enough, please let me know and I will think about revisiting them. And if you like more content like this or content about gaming in general, please like and follow, it helps me a lot.